Propping up Greta Thunberg to be a climate change shill shows you two important things about the progressive left. The first thing is that they don't care who they use or whose lives they destroy in order to advance their agenda. Thunberg's speech was like a campy 1970s horror movie, devoid of any and all connection to reality. This embarrassing spectacle, captured forever on video, will follow this poor girl around for the rest of her life. The second thing is that it shows their complete desperation to advance the religion of climate change. When Hitler started drafting children into the army, it was all but over for Germany. It was a desperate move by a beaten man. Using this girl with a funny accent who made even funnier faces when trying to be mad for the cameras shows a desperate left who has now started drafting children into their army.
Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now!
You have stolen my dreams, my childhood with your empty words. And yet, I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying.
Not safe! Get out of the street! This is not safe to tow a vehicle with people on it! It's not safe! It's not safe!
Friends, we have enough humans on the planet. We don't need any more humans. It is not okay for women to have babies and stop contributing to the process. We don't need children. If you find yourself pregnant, there are options and you can have an abortion. No babies. Cut off the baby factories. We have
the natural world is collapsing around us, and that's actually happening right now. Basically last year I came to the decision that I couldn't bring a child into that.
There's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult, and it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. Is it okay to still have children?
I don't want to do it. You can't make me. It feels like, oh, interesting.
Would you ban offshore drilling? Absolutely yes.
Banning certain behaviors.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should.
Would you ban fracking? Absolutely yes.
The export of fossil fuels from the United States, would you ban that?
Absolutely, we must get to that point.
We can do that. Just on public lands.
No.
We can undo by executive action.
Have a real priority at the highest level of government.
Prohibit the permitting of oil and gas leasing on public lands.
You go after them, you try to change the law.
We're going to have to spend a lot of federal money.
Environmental obsessives yammer endlessly about some mythical 97% consensus among scientists that catastrophic global warming is happening and man is to blame. Well, guess what? Surprise, surprise. 500 scientists just rained on their parade at the United Nations. This group of scientists and climate professionals sent a European climate declaration to the UN with a stark message. There is no climate emergency. And of course, this happened at the very same time Greta Thunberg, a shamelessly manipulated teenager, was trotted out by her handlers to accuse everybody in the UN and the world of robbing her of her innocence by failing to buy into the bilge of climate crisis hysteria. She said, "You have stolen my dreams and my childhood," she emoted. "I say we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this." And of course, she did not explain what that was going to look like. Actual scientists, as you might expect, have a different view. There is no statistical evidence that global warming is intensifying hurricanes, floods, droughts, and such like natural disasters, or making them more frequent. Scientists actually warn that trying to reduce carbon dioxide emissions is both dangerous and costly. Wind turbines are nothing but bird and bat blenders, responsible, according to the Smithsonian, for the deaths of somewhere between 140,000 and 328,000 of our flying friends every year. President Obama, the eco-warrior that he was, authorized wind farms to dismember 4,200 bald eagles annually on his way to healing the planet. So, since there is, in fact, no catastrophic global warming, there's no cause for panic and alarm. They strongly oppose the harmful and unrealistic net zero carbon dioxide policy proposed for 2050. For one thing, is they say carbon dioxide is not a toxic pollutant, it's plant food. The more of that there is in the environment, the better things are for people who like to eat and breathe and enjoy healthy forests and bountiful harvests. These scientists are particularly critical of computerized models of the climate. These have proven to be notoriously out of alignment with actual meteorological history, which currently shows no warming at all since 2005, when NASA built a brand new trustworthy network of surface temperature stations. Trillions and trillions of dollars have been squandered based on these models, which reminds us of the old saying about computers and what comes out when you put garbage in. Current climate policies pointlessly, grievously undermine the economic system, putting lives at risk and countries denied access to affordable, continuous electrical power. Since we here at this channel base all of our content on facts as opposed to feelings, let's take a direct look at the European Climate Declaration that was sent to the Secretary General of the United Nations. Your Excellencies, there is no climate emergency. A global network of more than 500 knowledgeable and experienced scientists and professionals in climate and related fields have the honor to address Your Excellencies the attached European Climate Declaration, for which the signatories to this letter are the national ambassadors. The general circulation models of climate on which the international policy is at present founded are unfit for their purpose. Therefore, it is cruel as well as imprudent to advocate the squandering of trillions of dollars on the basis of results from such immature models. Current climate policies pointlessly and grievously undermine the economic system, putting lives at risk in countries denied access to affordable, reliable electrical energy. We urge you to follow a climate policy based on sound science, realistic economics, and genuine concern for those harmed by costly but unnecessary attempts at mitigation. We ask you to place the declaration on the agenda of your imminent New York session. We also invite you to organize with us constructive high-level meetings between world-class scientists on both sides of the climate debate in early 2020. Such a meeting would be consistent with the historically proven principles of sound science and natural justice that both sides should be fully and fairly heard. Audiatur et altera pars, which is Latin for let the other side be heard. Please let us know your thoughts on how we bring about such a momentous joint meeting. Yours sincerely, Professor Ges Berkhout, the Netherlands, Professor Richard Linton, USA, Professor Ronald de Burger, French Canada, Professor Ingmar Norden, Sweden, Terry Dunleavy, New Zealand, Jim O'Brien, Irish Republic, Steve Forbes, Australia, Professor Alberto Prestonizzi, Italy, Professor Jeffrey Foss, English Canada, Professor Benoit Retaud, France, Morten Jadal, Norway, Professor Fritz Varenholtz, Germany, Rob Lemire, Belgium, Mockton of Brentsley, UK, ambassadors of the European Climate Declaration. The document continues. There is no climate emergency. A global network of 500 scientists and professionals has prepared this urgent message. Climate science should be less political, while climate policy should be more specific. Scientists should openly address the uncertainties and exaggerations in their predictions of global warming, while politicians should dispassionately count the real benefits as well as the imagined cost of adaptation to global warming, and the real cost as well as the imagined benefits of mitigation. Natural as well as anthropogenic factors cause warming. The geological archive reveals that Earth's climate has varied as long as the planet has existed, with natural and cold warm phases. The Little Ice Age ended recently as 1850, therefore it is no surprise that we are now experiencing a period of warming. Warming is far slower than predicted. The world has warmed at less than half the originally predicted rate, and at less than half the rate to be expected on the basis of net anthropogenic forcing and radiative imbalance. It tells us that we are far from understanding climate change. Climate policy relies on inadequate models. Climate models have many shortcomings and are not remotely plausible as policy tools. Moreover, they most likely exaggerate the effect of greenhouse gases such as CO2. In addition, they ignore the fact that enriching the atmosphere with CO2 is beneficial. CO2 is plant food, the basis of all life on Earth. CO2 is not a pollutant. It is essential to all life on Earth. Photosynthesis is a blessing. More CO2 is beneficial for nature. Greening the Earth, additional CO2 in the air has promoted growth in global plant biomass. It is also good for agriculture, increasing the yields of crops worldwide. Global warming has not increased natural disasters. There is no statistical evidence that global warming is intensifying hurricanes, floods, droughts, and such like natural disasters, or making them more frequent. However, CO2 mitigation measures are as damaging as they are costly. For instance, wind turbines kill birds and bats, and palm oil plantations destroy the biodiversity of the rainforest. Climate policy must respect scientific and economic realities. There is no climate emergency, therefore there is no cause for panic and alarm. We strongly oppose the harmful and unrealistic net zero CO2 policy proposed for 2050. If better approaches emerge, we will have ample time to reflect and adapt. The aim of the international policy should be to provide reliable and affordable energy at all times and throughout the world. In closing, the scientists believe there is no climate emergency. Natural factors affect climate. Warming is far slower than the models predicted. Carbon dioxide is not a pollutant, but the basis for all life on Earth. And global warming has not increased natural disasters. This is the bottom line. If you're looking for a consensus among scientists about global warming, you just found it.